Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. It's Thursday, May 11th. What I decided that I had to get done today was I'm going to start working on the mounts, the mounting points for the wing ribs. What it looks like they did on this, hopefully you can see it well, you see like an embossed or a stamped pattern into the wood. I went over to the hardware store to pick up some, just to see if I could find some just metal stock, some flat stock, and of course they didn't have anything. What it looks like they used, it looks like they used old cabinet hinges that they had laying around and cut apart. I mean, it's, you know, it worked for so many years, there's nothing wrong with it. I just didn't want to do that. So what I did do, because they couldn't find anything there, I just started meandering around the store because I knew that I would find something that I'd use there. And lo and behold, electrical aisle. Went over and got a junction box cover, just a flat cover. Same thickness. It's about a 60 thousandths. You know, just flat stock, and it was cheap. So that's what I'm doing now. What I did, so I don't need to look at the little things I'm just bending around here. I decided to make these a little bit wider than the other ones. The other ones were they were kind of mixed. It was, but they averaged out about 0.425 thousandths. So it was, you know, 7/16-ish, somewhere around there or close to it. I decided I'm going up to 1/2 inch because I want a little more beef behind these things, because I'll probably because I'm setting it up for more aggressive aerobatics. I mean, you know, not 3D stuff, even though they call it 3D, because offline's 3D, otherwise it'd be taxing. Alright, anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand these out, you know, 70 thousandths, about just a little bit more than what this is thick. So it's not a lot, but it's just a little bit of extra for me. Just so I've got a little more trust that these things are going to hold up to what I'm going to put it through. Technically, the wing strut should snap long before any problems with this happen. So anyway, here's what I did. Let me just bring you over real quick. Stupid pinky strikes again. I just shut you off. Alright, anyway. Here's what I did. I just took some fiberboard, particle wood, particle board, raised up, took some, I had some 3/4 inch ply still sitting around, just some scrap. Raised it up a little enough for this to sit down inside, so it's flush on the top. And this is cut out so that this is a 1/2 inch gap. So this piece here, from here to here, is a 1/2 inch. And then I'm just coming in with my little Milwaukee jigsaw with a Bosch metal blade on it. I like the Bosch blades better than the Milwaukee, so that's what I'm getting. All right, so what I'll do is I'll scribe a line down here, and then I'll probably hit it with some black magic marker anyway. Just so it helps me point this a little bit, because I've got this groove in here now. It's going to make it want to go straight. So I just slide this into this point, and then I'll just bring it in and just cut through, and that'll give me a 1/2 inch slice. Then all I have to do is just cut it to whatever length I need them to be at, and then just drill the holes. So I need to make 4 of these things. So, and I've got enough to make 4 of them. So that's stage 1. And then it'll come stage 2. Just haven't decided what that's going to be yet, but there will be a stage 2. So I'm not going to. You know what? I'll let you watch the first cut through, and then the rest I'll just do off camera, just so I can edit it and try to tighten up the videos a little bit. So anyway, we'll be right back. All right, I scribed a little line on here. It just came in with my little dial caliper scraped down. I can see the line, you can't, but once I get over the top of it and I start cutting, I should still be able to see it. But I'm just going to go ahead and throw a little bit of marker on top of it, just so that it's easy enough for me to confirm and I'm not questioning anything more than I normally do. And And that skewed off to the side. Alright, so there's the line. Let's go ahead and get this baby cut. Might be warm and it might not. But there we go. There's my little 1/2 inch piece. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it is it's nice and straight. So that's it. And you know what? 3 more to go. Alright, here's the final product. $2.29 worth of steel. Equals 4 of these little gems. So anyway, so there we go. So I've got 4 of these things. We drill 1 hole out here. That's going to be the attachment point for the. Sorry about that. I had a butt brain fart. Yay! That's for 1 wing. I got to go get another piece. So I'm going to edit this piece out because this is. I got to do more of these things. So I better save my little jig. I'm halfway done. Failure number 12. No, 21. 210. Hey everyone, welcome to not so much a little shop because I'm working outside today. I got the plane outside. I finished gluing on the actual wing mounts. You saw me earlier on in the prior video. Get those things made. I had a little bit of tweaking to do. There was a little bit of a crossover on the front when I lined up 2 squares. I had a 3mm 1/8 inch, so I had to shave off basically 1.5 millimeters off the tail end of the mounts. So it took me probably 10 minutes. So I got that all addressed. I epoxied on the plywood mounts. Haven't cross-drilled the holes. What I'm doing right now. Let me bring you back inside the shop real quick. So we're going to have a little change in light. Alright, what I'm doing here is I'm gonna epoxy the 7075 aluminum tubes in. So this is how far it's going in. It's not quite an inch. I mean, it's really close. We can just pretty much almost just call it an inch. This is going to slide into this point. And these are already cut to length on the fuse. So let me go ahead and get these epoxied in, and then I'll bring you back, and I'll show you pretty much how everything's looking. I mean, I took the 2 wings outside, put them up on top of the table, clamped them together, and they are straight. And that comes from building on that jig. One that hangs over the top of my door, that's the wing jig. It gives me a true 90-degree on the root rib. And when I clamp them together, put them down on the table, you can put a straight edge on it. It's dead straight across. So that's why I had to take so much time making sure that this is what I mean, these things had to be true. So not only true, perfectly parallel from front to back, but also the same distance across. This was 345 millimeter, and this was 348-ish. So I had to shave off 1.5 millimeters on either side. So, but that wasn't just shaved back here. I had to continue to sand and take measurements but that's you know, that's good to go. So all right, let me go ahead and get those things epoxied together. And what I'm doing for epoxying, I'm just going to rough this up a little bit and just go ahead and with 5-minute epoxy stick them in, and it's done. Because this, as you remember, it's not an attachment point, it's just to keep the wing from being able to rotate. So I mean, I'm not attaching. This isn't how the wing gets held to the plane. That's that other. You'll see. That's more of those screw-in thingies. All right, now that we're back to recording outside, just want to make sure the neighbors aren't watching me, because the fact that I'm sitting here talking to a camera, they might think I'm crazier than I really am. Anyway, here's what I did. These have been epoxied in, so I've got the tubes epoxied in. I got the aluminum epoxied into the carbon fiber, both sides. And what these are going to do, make sure we get somewhat centered on the plane. These are just going to slide inside here. But I have not decided as of yet if I want to epoxy these in position. These might just stay like this, where they could be slid in and out. If I wanted to put them in place, just so they're kind of held in place, but not permanently attached, I can use some contact cement, some weldwood, whatever, either type. Just put a little bit on one side, shove it in, and once that it'll hold it and allow it from not sliding back and forth. Because this is rigid. I mean, there's no up and down slop in these things. It's the way I put it in together. Let me run inside and grab a wing. So I don't trust hanging it on this for very long, but I need to have this plane sitting upside down on top of the need to have this sitting upside down on top of the, well, hell of a lot nicer than I thought. So need to have this sitting upside down to get the, sorry about this, working around the rocks, so that I can get the actual wing struts in. Decided, seeing that one side's holding up, I'll throw the other side on, and then I'll bring you back for a real quick viewing of what it looks like. Make sure I got this thing properly held into place before I walk away. Alright, I might have to do some tweaking on these wings a little bit still before they get covered. But this, sorry about that. But this is pretty much what we're looking at. As you can see right now, it's got antihedral. It's angling down. That's why you have to have the wing struts. That's what's going to hold these so that they're up like this, so that they're level. And that little crack, you can see, sorry about that, it's bumping up here at the leading edge. I'm just going to have to sand that a little bit, and then that'll allow that to sit in, so it's flush. And this side here is pretty much rock solid. So yeah, one step closer, guys. One step closer. Makes me happier. So anyway, I'll put you back up in the stand, and I'll probably have to I may have to take this back inside and install. I'll probably do it anyway. I need to install the the strut mount down here first, and then I've got to patch this hole. This is where the screws go through, and I got to figure out if I want to go ahead and reset on this one because this one's pretty hacked up. And the front one, sorry about that. And the front one on this side could use a little bit of TLC as well. But this other side, on this side over here, everything's pretty rock solid. So, so the front and the back are still good. So this is pretty much it for working on getting these things done with the whatever you want to call them, anti-rotation pins. So yeah, we're getting closer, a little closer, but we still got a little ways to go. So this is why I was telling you earlier that there's a lot of little stuff that's going to have to be done, and that's kind of where we're at right now. It's just going to be all this little stuff. I mean, the wing spars, or excuse me, the wing struts are very important, and that's the next big thing. But I got a couple little things I've got to finish off to get the last big thing done, and then after that, it's just a matter of all the little fine-tuning stuff. And I gotta find plastic. I gotta find this 30 thousandths acetate. That's for the windscreen. So I just probably ought to start looking and just purchase. I need a 2 foot by 2 foot piece, and that'll suffice. So I'll probably put the order in soon. So anyway, I'll get this stuff moved around, and then when I'm putting making the little mounts for the wing struts, I'll bring it back in again. So hold tight. I hate talking to nobody. I didn't have you turned on yet. All right. Anyway, here's what I'm doing. I'm trying to open up a hole in the wing, so it's gonna become a little passageway. It's about the same size as this. And what I'll do is, once the hole's cut, I'll roll up some craft paper, stick it inside the hole, and then just let it kind of unwind itself naturally so it fills up the whole circle, and then I'll come in with some thin CA, do a couple little dabs on it. What I'm doing is I'm making a little an entry tube that's going to go up from the root rib all the way up to the servo. So if I ever need to replace a servo, extension, it's easy. You're never going to end up chasing anything through because it just has a one straight shot through. You're not trying to dance the servo lead down through the ribs to get it out. So it's always a wise thing to do. It takes a little bit of time to do it. I've got some 3/4 inch brass tubing, and as you might be able to see, I took a sharp knife and just cut away at it and beveled an edge, and then I came in and just wrapped it, the very end of it, to create some sharp little teeth to bite and cut into the balsa. And what I'm doing is seeing that I spoke to you guys, but I wasn't recording, so I cut through five ribs. But anyway, at least I caught that before I went too far. These are the holes that I cut. They're nice and round. These are the ones he kind of punched through with I don't know what probably just a screwdriver jammed it through. So I've got 3 more to go. What I do is, after I cut this, just to free up a little bit of space, when I cut this out, it was just a scrap piece of plywood that at one point in time had serious burn marks on it. You know which piece of plywood I'm talking about. I cut it and then rounded it with a whole bunch of different ways to do it. All of them wrong, but different ways to do it. And then, because this is bigger than this, once I come through, I'll run it through just to show you. I spin it through, so what it does is it makes that hole that I just cut through just a little bit bigger than this. So it makes the next hole easier to cut through, because then you're not binding up on, you know, 4 or 5 ribs on just with the brass tubing. So here's the I'll get the next hole cut now. Get slid through. Little scrap piece of wood goes on the back side. Screw it in, and you hear a cracking sound, and that's when the hole is done. So I'm going to slide it out. It's got the little piece of balsa wedged in the top. And I'm going to just jump right in and do the next one, because I shouldn't have too much binding, because I've only got two more holes to go. So I'll get this one done, then I'll come in and then I'll enlarge these holes a little bit. So this is just something I've done in all my builds, and it's something that it's a wise investment of your time. It doesn't take much time at all to do it. Normally, if I'm building a kit from either scratch or from you know, just a kit, if it's because they normally don't have this hole in it, I'll put them in it. If I'm building from scratch, like I did on that the big quarter scale biplane that I built back, I don't know, 11 years ago, 10, 11 years ago. That's how I did it. I actually made a jig for building wing ribs to cut them all out, because I had so many to cut out. And in that jig, I had a hole for this. And so I drilled all the way through, and so they're already drilled and all perfectly lined up, so I didn't have to do this later on. So that was the first thing that was taken care of. So, all right, real quick, last hole, and then I'll bring everybody back when something more exciting happens. I'm pushing a piece of brass tubing through some balsa. And there we go. Easy peasy. So get one of these things, hardware store. They're like, I don't know, $3 or $4. And it's, for the most part, it's the only thing you're probably ever really going to use it for. So so take good care of it. You'll use it for many years. That's about it. Got to go inside. Got to start working on the fuse.